The search parties had been called off. 20 below zero. 3 days of blizzard. No one could survive. Alpha Garrett Stone, a man who commanded armies, sat at his table, weeping. His 5-year-old twin sons were gone. The pack was preparing a funeral, ready to bury empty caskets. Then the doors burst open. Standing there wasn't a warrior, wasn't a shifter. It was a human woman. Blue-lipped, shaking, holding 2 small bodies wrapped in blankets. What she whispered next didn't just save 2 lives. It changed everything. The clock read 3:14 a.m. The great hall of Ironwood Estate, usually filled with celebration, was suffocated by grief. Alpha Garrett Stone sat motionless, staring at nothing. His beta, Marcus, approached carefully. "The state troopers are pulling back," Marcus said quietly. "The snow is 6 feet deep. They said no one could survive past 48 hours without shelter." Garrett's hand tightened around his glass until it shattered. He didn't feel the cuts. "They're 5 years old, Marcus," Garrett whispered. "They can't shift yet. They're just boys." The twins, Finn and Leo, had vanished 2 days ago from the estate's secure nursery. Window open, snow blowing in, scent trail dead. 300 wolves had searched. Found nothing. "We have to prepare the ceremony," Marcus said gently. "The pack needs closure." "You want me to bury my sons before I've held their bodies?" "I want you to lead your people. Victoria is already suggesting your grief has made you weak." Garrett growled, low, vibrating the windows. Victoria, the ambitious daughter of the Northern Alpha. She'd wanted to be his mate for years. Hated that he'd chosen a mate who died giving birth to the twins. "Fine," Garrett said, the word tasting like poison. "Set it up. We mourn at dawn." Hours later, the pack filed into the great hall. Hundreds of them. Warriors, mothers, elders. Wearing traditional gray mourning clothes. 2 small pedestals stood empty at the front. Victoria stood near the front row in a perfectly fitted black dress. She didn't smell sad. She smelled ready. Garrett took his place at the podium, opened his mouth to speak the ritual words. Boom! The sound came from the main doors. Boom! Someone was hitting the barred entrance. Every wolf turned. "Open it," Garrett commanded. 3 warriors lifted the iron bar, pulled. Wind exploded into the room. Snow swirled across polished floors. Framed in the blizzard stood a figure. A woman. Small, painfully thin. Wearing a coat 3 sizes too large, held together with duct tape. Jeans soaked dark. Cheap rubber boots. She was human. No shifter scent. Just frost, pine, and exhaustion. She took 1 step forward. Her knees buckled. Caught herself on the doorframe. Hands white, cracked, bleeding. "Help," she whispered. "A human? Here?" Voices murmured. "Get her out," Victoria snapped. "This is sacred. How dare—" "Silence!" Garrett roared. He walked down the center aisle. The crowd parted. As he got closer, he saw details. Eyelashes frozen with ice crystals. Skin translucent gray. And what she was holding. A large wool blanket bundled in her arms. Wrapped tight. Covered in snow. She was clutching it so hard her fingers looked like claws. Garrett stopped 5 feet away. "Who are you?" The woman looked up. Hazel eyes wide with terror and exhaustion. She didn't answer. Just adjusted her grip on the bundle. "I found them," she whispered. Garrett's breath stopped. "What?" "I found them." Louder now, swaying. "In the old cabin, Route 12. She peeled back the wool. A collective gasp sucked the air from the room. Tucked inside, huddled together, were 2 small boys, Finn and Leo. Lips blue, skin pale, unconscious. But as the blanket moved, Finn coughed, tiny, whimpering. They were alive. Garrett fell to his knees. The mighty Alpha, who feared nothing, crashed to the floor, reached out with shaking hands, touched Leo's cheek. Cold, so cold, but warm enough. "Healers!" The word tore from his throat. Chaos erupted. Pack doctors rushed forward with stretchers, warm blankets. They tried to take the bundle from her. She pulled back. "No, don't hurt them. Give them to me," Garrett said, meeting her eyes. "I'm their father." The woman blinked, searched his face. Slowly, her strength gave out. She slumped forward. Garrett caught her, taking the weight of his sons and this stranger into his arms all at once. She was so light. Essentially bones wrapped in wet clothes. "They're safe," he whispered into her hair. "You brought them home safe." As healers extracted the boys, rushing them to the medical wing, the woman collapsed completely against Garrett's chest. Victoria appeared at his side, face twisted. "Alpha, hand the human to guards. She probably kidnapped them herself for reward money." Garrett looked down at the unconscious woman. Saw frostbite on her fingertips. Saw she'd wrapped her own scarf around Finn's neck, leaving her throat bare to the wind. He looked at Victoria, eyes glowing dangerous gold. "She walked through a blizzard that grounded helicopters," he growled. "She is not a prisoner. She is a guest." He stood, lifting her effortlessly. "Marcus, secure the perimeter. Victoria, get out of my sight." He carried the stranger to the medical wing, following his sons. Pain woke her. Not cold anymore. Throbbing, burning sensation of blood returning to frozen limbs. Sophie Hayes opened her eyes. The ceiling wasn't her trailer's rotting wood. It was high, cream-colored, with soft, recessed lighting. She was on a bed that felt like clouds. Sheets like silk. "Easy," a calm voice said. "Your core temperature just stabilized. Move too fast, you'll shock." A man in a white coat checked monitors. Gray temples. Kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "The boys?" Sophie rasped. "Critical but stable." "The," doctor said, offering water. "Thanks to you." Sophie drank. Memories flooded back. Broken-down truck, cutting through woods, crying from the abandoned cabin. The door opened. The man from the hall entered. Garrett Stone. Without snow and chaos, he was even more imposing. Over 6'4", shoulders filling the doorway, fresh black shirt, sleeves rolled up, revealing corded forearms. But his eyes, amber, piercing, pinned her to the bed. "Leave us," Garrett said to the doctor. "She's weak, Alpha." "I said leave." The doctor left. Garrett pulled a chair close, sat. The wood creaked, studied her for a long, uncomfortable minute. "What's your name?" "Sophie Hayes." "Who do you work for?" Sophie frowned. "Everclean Services in town. I clean rental cabins. Or, I did. My truck broke down. I'm probably fired now." Garrett narrowed his eyes. "You're fully human." "Is that a crime?" A spark of defiance. "Look, I don't know who you are. My truck died near the ridge. I walked. Heard crying. Broke the door down. That's it." Garrett leaned forward. "You broke down a reinforced door. Found 2 missing children. Carried them 3 miles through a blizzard that ended professional search efforts. I didn't know they were yours. I just couldn't leave them." Garrett went silent. For a werewolf, lies have a scent. Sour, acidic. Sophie smelled like fear and something else, something sweet like rain on dry earth. Truth. "Someone took them," Garrett said grimly. "Left them to die. You ruined their plan." Before Sophie could respond, the door banged open. Victoria marched in with 2 guards. "Why are you talking to her?" Victoria demanded. "She's clearly an accomplice. She waits until the storm peaks, then miraculously saves them for reward money. Classic con." Victoria stalked to the bed, looming over Sophie. "Who paid you? Northern Pack? How much?" Sophie shrank back, terrified. "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want..." anything. Liar! Victoria raised her hand, nails lengthening to claws. I'll make you growl. The sound vibrated water in the glass on the table. Garrett was on his feet, blur of motion. Caught Victoria's wrist inches from Sophie's face. Bone-crushing grip. Touch her, Garrett snarled, eyes glowing gold, and you lose this hand. Victoria gasped, pulling away. Garrett, she's nobody. She did what you could not. She saved my sons. He shoved Victoria toward the door. Now get out! Victoria's face twisted with hatred as she looked at Sophie. This isn't over. You don't belong here, human. She stormed out. Sophie was trembling. Garrett turned back, golden glow fading. Weary exhaustion replacing it. I apologize, he said stiffly. Victoria is protective. She's crazy, Sophie whispered. Garrett let out a short, dry chuckle. That too. He pulled out a checkbook, wrote, tore the page out, placed it on the table. For your truck and your courage, Sophie glanced, eyes widened. $50,000. I can't, you can and will, but you can't leave yet. Roads blocked. And frankly, his face hardened. If someone tried to eliminate my sons, you're the only witness. You're a target. Sophie's heart skipped. Until I find who did this, Garrett said. You're under Ironwood protection, whether you like it or not. The screaming started at 2 a.m., high-pitched, terrified, echoing through corridors. Garrett sprinted down the hall, burst into the pediatric wing. Finn and Leo were huddled in the corner of the hospital bed, backs against the wall. Eyes wide, pupils dilated. Tiny snarls, more fear than aggression. The doctor tried to approach with medicine. Boys, please, it's just... No, Finn screamed, swiping. Tiny claws out, drew the doctor's arm. Get away, Leo shrieked. Boys, it's me, it's Dad, Garrett said, stepping into light. They looked at him. No recognition, only blind trauma. Daddy will hurt us, too, Leo sobbed. Garrett froze, heart shattered. They were terrified of him. Then the door opened quietly. Sophie stood there, oversized t-shirt, sweatpants, holding her IV pole, pale, unsteady, but eyes locked on the boys. She didn't ask permission, didn't bow, just walked past Garrett, past the doctor, past Victoria. Hey, Sophie said softly, voice like melody. The boys stopped screaming instantly. Heads snapped toward her. Sophie sat on the bed edge, didn't reach, didn't grab, just sat. Slumped shoulders. Let out an exaggerated sigh. I'm so cold, she whispered to the air. I wish someone could help me warm up. Finn blinked. Feral look dimming. Curiosity flickering. He remembered that voice. That smell, not hospital chemicals. Rain and vanilla. Snow, lady, Finn whispered. Hi, Finn. Sophie smiled through tears. My hands are freezing. See? She held out her hands, palms up. Slowly, Finn crawled out. Sniffed. Reached out. Placed his small, warm hand in hers. I got you, Finn said, voice trembling. Me too, Leo whispered, scrambling after his brother. Within seconds, the terrified wolf pups were clinging to the human woman. Leo buried his face in her neck. Finn curled in her lap. Sophie began to hum. Nameless, clumsy, made up on the spot. But to the wolves in the room, it sounded like a hymn. Garrett watched, stunned. Something stirred in his chest. His wolf, usually restless, aggressive, was suddenly calm. Purring. She keeps the pack safe, the wolf voice whispered in his mind. She is home. Victoria made a noise of disgust. This is ridiculous. She's confusing them. Get her away. Don't, Garrett said. Single word. Absolute finality. Look at them clinging to a servant. They're clinging to their savior. The boys fell asleep, breathing even, deep. Sophie dozed too, head resting awkwardly on the bed rail, hand protective over Finn's back. Garrett walked over, gently lifted her head, slid a pillow. Under it, her skin was warm now. He felt a strange, terrifying pull toward her. Not just gratitude. Biological. His wolf wanted to curl up on that bed beside her. This was dangerous. A human couldn't be mate to an alpha. Biologically impossible. Too fragile. Forbidden by council laws. But looking at the human woman and his wolf sons, he realized council laws might not matter anymore. For the first time in days, his house was silent. For the first time in years, it felt like home. Over the following weeks, Sophie stayed. She had her own suite, a salary, access to the grounds. Her only job, be with Finn and Leo. Help them heal. And they did heal. The nightmares stopped. Laughter returned. But Sophie also healed something in Garrett he didn't know was broken. He found himself seeking her out, watching her build block towers, listening to her read bedtime stories. One evening, he found her on the balcony, boys asleep inside. "They're asking if you're staying," Garrett said, joining her. "Are you?" Sophie looked at him. "That depends." He stepped closer. "Do you want to?" "I don't belong here, Garrett. I'm human." Victoria made that clear. "You belong where my sons need you." He paused. "Where I need you." Sophie's breath caught. "The night you walked through that door," Garrett said quietly, "you didn't just save my sons. You saved me from becoming something I never wanted to be. Cold, closed off, alone." He reached out, cupped her face. "Stay. Not as their nanny, as part of this family." Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "You're asking a human to—" "I'm asking you," he interrupted. "Species doesn't matter. Titles don't matter. What matters is that when you're here, this place finally feels like home." She kissed him. Soft at first, then deeper, and in that moment the bond formed. Not the violent soul bond of legends. Something gentler, warmer. The bond of choice. Of love earned, not fated. 6 months later, Sophie stood on the balcony of Ironwood Estate, not in borrowed clothes, in a dress of deep blue, made for her. Below, the pack gathered, not with suspicion, with celebration. Garrett stood beside her, hand on the small of her back. Finn and Leo ran in the snow below, safe, happy, whole. "You know," Sophie said, smiling, "I only stopped because my truck broke down." "Best breakdown ever," Garrett murmured, pulling her close. She'd walked into a blizzard a stranger. She walked out of it a mother, a partner, a queen, and Victoria? Let's just say she found employment elsewhere. Far, far away from the family Sophie had accidentally saved, and deliberately chosen to keep. The end. Sometimes the most ordinary moments lead to extraordinary love. Sophie was just trying to get home when her truck broke down, but that breakdown led her to 2 little boys who needed saving, and to a man who needed saving too, even if he didn't know it yet. Love doesn't care about species, about status, about what the world says is impossible. Sometimes it just cares about the courage to walk through a storm. What did you love most? The boys recognizing Sophie? Garrett's protectiveness? The quiet love that grew between them? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story warmed your heart, please like and subscribe for more of unexpected love, protective heroes, and families built by choice.